Hey, what up? My name is OP from Serato, and today I'm going to show you how to make an EDM track kind of in the vibe of Martin Garrix, Deadmau5, or even Calvin Harris. I'm using our music production software, Serato Studio, which is completely free for you to download right now. Serato Studio comes with a ton of free samples built in, which I'm going to use for this track so you can follow along. Let's check it out. When you open up Serato Studio, you can either make a new beat, a new DJ edit, or a new beat by genre. If you opt for new beat, you can get a template based on the genre that you want to choose. Today, we're going to make an EDM track. When you click on the genre, you can see our BPM is set to 128, which is a common tempo for the genre, but it can be a few beats below or above depending upon the track. We're going to go with 130. Double-click on the BPM and type it in. The other thing that our template does is load you drum sounds. We can see in the drum deck, located just here, the Club 909 drum kit is ready to go. To trigger those sounds, either use the numbers 1 through 8 or the QWERTY letters on your computer's keyboard. If you want to switch out your kit, just go to the All Drums Kit crate under the Drum tab and browse through the options. I'm digging this one, so let's stay with the 909 drum kit. So now that we got our drum sounds, let's make a pattern. The grid on the right side is called a sequencer, and it's used to create patterns from sounds loaded on the left deck. There's a really handy feature inside of Serato Studio called Make Drums, which gives you randomized drum patterns for you to get started. First, let's increase the length of our sequence so that the loop isn't too short. Now we can press Make EDM and a preset pattern for the genre will appear. Just keep clicking until you land on something that you like. And then from there, make small adjustments by adding or taking away notes in the sequencer. To play back your drum beat, press the play button or just press your spacebar. EDM songs often have big chords. You can add chords either with samples or instruments. We're going to use both in this project, but let's start with the chord sample first. There are a ton of free loops built into Serato Studio, so I'm just going to browse through the All Samples loop crate here, and under Audio Samples, I'll find something that I like. This Hidden Gem sample has the perfect chord elements for the beat. In the deck player, click on Add Sample, and then from there, load this into the sample deck here on the left. You'll now see 8 cue points appear. These are giving you 8 different regions of your sample to work with. To record this sequence, I can either paint into the sequencer using my mouse, or I can record it in and play the notes by using either the keys 1 through 8 or the QWERTY letters on my keyboard. I like to play it in real time, so I'm going to use the numbers 1 through 8. Now I'm going to do some EQing on the sample. This is where you can adjust the volume and levels of your low, mid, and high frequencies. There are no hard or fast rules with EQing. Just use your ears and play around until you like how it sounds. Now, let's add some effects. Adding effects is all about shaping the sound to make it your own. Turn on the effects panel here, and you'll see that 6 effect slots appear. These 3 are for affecting the 3 individual cue points. The other 3 effect slots affect the entire deck. I'm going to choose Limiter Squeezer and Hard Sidechain, and then I'll adjust the amount until I'm happy with it. The Hard Sidechain is a really important effect in EDM. By default, the kick drum from my drum deck is selected as the sidechain input, so I'm just going to leave that selected. As you can hear, it gives a ducking effect. This is created by compressing the sample every time the kick drum comes in. Now let's add some piano to add some emotion. Click on Add Instruments and then go to the library to see what's there. Typically in EDM, you'll hear lots of bright synth instruments with gritty, distorted bass sounds underneath and big echoed sounds. So I'm going to go to the Piano and Keys folder under the Instruments and see what we got. I like the acoustic piano, so I'm going to drag it in. So in Serato Studio, there's this great feature called Play in Key Mode. This is on by default. What it does is only give you notes of your instrument that are in key with your project. So even if you don't know music theory, it keeps your melodies and chords in key and sounding good. You can also turn on auto chord mode, which will trigger chords by simply pressing a note. And these chords will be in key with your project. So let's add some piano chords to go along with the sample chords that we added in previously. When you're ready, either hit record and lay down a pattern in real time, or paint in some notes with your mouse into the sequencer. I'm going to record a pattern in now. If any of the notes are slightly off in time, you can easily adjust the time and the length of these notes in your sequencer here. Now again, I'm going to add some effects, like release, here. I'm also going to add the hard sidechain routed to the kick, amphitheater reverb, and make some adjustments to the filter to give the sound some more character. Let's fatten up the track with an 808 bass line. Typically, you want to use a quite loud and energetic bass sound instrument in EDM. So again, go click on Add Instrument and go to the bass crate inside the instrument crate. There you can find the 808 head explosion bass. Now, vibe out a nice little bass line and record or paint it in. If you're a little stuck here on making the bass line, you can try to paint the first note of the octave and then create a pattern from there. For the notes that overlap each other, turn up the glide to have the notes bend into each other. Like before, play with the release to help shape the sound. Now, we've got this loop going on, which we'll call a scene. We're going to copy this a few times and make some variations to give us different sections for the track. Build-ups and drops are really common in EDM. This one has all the elements that I like, so I'm going to make this one my drop. And now, I'll create an intro by taking elements out. If you delete the whole deck, it will remove the whole deck from your scenes, so just use the clear button instead for creating variations. And since we have our sections, now we can arrange our song. Click on the Song View tab here, next to the library, and simply drag your scenes in the order that you want them to play. Risers and effect sounds also make EDM tracks feel really epic. Underneath the scene view, you can add audio tracks. You can either add in long pieces of audio or small parts that you can place over the timeline of the song. Click on the Audio tab, and then go back to the library and find the ride symbol in the All Drum One-Shots. Drag it over to the song view and lay it into the audio track. And here's the secret sauce. Reverse the ride symbol like this. This will create a sweeping sound that's perfect for the transition into the new section. Let's add some effects, like limiter squeezer, flex flanger, and light tail reverb, to add some tension to the sound. Now that we have the track built out, we're going to do a final step, which is the mastering. This is a really important part of the music making process and needs to be done last. It's all about ensuring that all the different elements of your track sit well together. We're going to achieve this by adding some effects to the master. By default, the effects preloaded are Brightener EQ, Master Compressor, and Limiter. Turn these on and adjust the amounts to your liking. And finally, if any layer sounds too loud or too quiet, select the deck and turn up the gain or turn it down. And once you're happy with it, just export it as an MP3 here and share it around to your friends. Nice work. You just made a crazy EDM track. If you haven't gotten to yet, go download Serato Studio for free in the link below. If you're already using Studio, check out the other tutorials to dive into making even more genres like house, trap, or even hip hop. And if you're looking for more samples to use, we've got a bunch of sound packs for free to download on our website via the links below. Now go get busy.